Hi, I'm John Paul, and a warm welcome to my YouTube channel again. I just wanted to do a quick video today, which is in response to something I saw in the Huffington Post yesterday. It was just an article that somebody wrote. Actually, I only saw the headline, but what the writer said in the headline was, some weeks it feels impossible to separate the news cycle from our own lives. And I think it's because there's a number of big news events recently which have drawn a lot of people's energy and attention. And I think what that person is saying is that, how do we decide how much of that to engage with? And what if, the constant exposure to bad news and difficult stories and things that we can get frightened and angry about, which is most of what's in the news, how much of that should be a part of our lives? How much of that are things that we ought to be concerned about and spend our time thinking about and being engaged with? How do we decide there? So just a few things I wanted to say about that. The first thing is I would come at it from the basis of that an awareness of other people, using our imaginations to imagine what it's like for other people, whether that's somebody in my life that lives down the road or in my house, or somebody that I don't know. Using my imagination to empathize with somebody else is a real sign of well-being for us, a real sign of not just sort of hedonistically caring about what happens to me and taking care of my own needs at the expense of others, but that I do care about other people, that I see myself as part of this sort of interconnected body of humanity, and I will, feel accordingly and behave accordingly. Those are great things, aren't they? That we can see on social media what may be going on, and in the media what may be going on elsewhere, things that are unfair and difficult, and do something about them. Those are some wonderful things that come out of social media and the media and our exposure to them. So primarily that interest, that empathy that we experience is a good thing psychologically. And the difficulty, I think, can come with the fact that how do we see where the boundary is there? Because if we spend all of our time or we're dominated by those sort of bad news stories and getting angry about things and getting frightened about things, or even hurt about experiences that happen to people that we don't even know and will never meet, when we're doing that, we are not paying attention to our own experiences, our own needs and wants in life, even necessarily, the relationships that we have in our own life at the moment. Is my job the one that I want to be doing? Is it taking care of emotional needs for me? Is my romantic relationship, if I have one, am I happy with that? Is that working in the way that I would want to? My physical well-being, my financial well-being, and then that of the people around me, if that's dependence or romantic partner or whatever that might be. If I have my attention out and it's dominated by sort of the external and things that I'm seeing on the media and social media, I can't at the same time be looking at my needs and wants and making sure that I'm in a place where I'm happy in life. And in fact, when I'm looking at lots and lots of frightening, anger-provoking stories, it's putting my nervous system right up. So fear and anger arouse our nervous system, send us up here. If I'm imagining something which is incredibly distressing and imagining someone else's distressing story, if it's happening in my imagination, it's happening in my body. So that sends my nervous system up. Even though I may never have met the person and may never meet them, it's as if it's happening in my body. So fear and anger take us up here, and if we're up there for too long, what happens for people is then they get switched off and then potentially to that sort of overwhelmed, hopeless and helpless state. So you can just see that if there's a preoccupation around the media and the bad news stories and the difficulties that they come with, and that's dominating, then we're likely to find ourselves either frightened and angry a lot, therefore quite reactive, maybe engaging in arguments on social media with people that we don't know, or after a particular period of time, the nervous system tends to shut off and we might feel overwhelmed. Because, of course, not only are we dealing with those things in our life, somebody else's difficulties around the world, but we're also having to deal with our own too. And those are the people around us who we actually do know. So, none of this is suggesting what you should be frightened and angry about, what you should campaign about, or what you should engage in discussions with people on social media about. All I would want to say is that we must be really conscious about the fact that that fear and anger part pushes forward automatically and intrusively. So our brains are designed to survive and therefore notice and identify problems rather than sort of to be content and happy. And pretty much everything that's in the media and lots of things that are on social media are about triggering that part of us, are about triggering that fear and anger part. So and as I say, it's going to be automatic, it's intrusive. So, and absolutely people can choose to spend their time doing whatever they want to do, and if that's something that somebody wants to do with most of their time, then that's somebody's prerogative. But it may be that we might be doing those things compulsively, impulsively, so we just have to be clear that they are within our control, they are within our choice how much time we do that. That if we are doing that, if I'm engaging with an argument with somebody on social media for an hour, what I'm not doing for that hour is doing things in my life that may be creative, or thinking about my future, or working towards my future, or even reflecting internally about how I am and how things are going for me. So just to make sure we're conscious about it, just to be clear about the sacrifice that we make, that we can't be in one place at the same time as the other. And also some people might experience guilt if they don't spend a lot of time, say, campaigning for something that they see which is unfair. They might see other people spending quite a lot of time doing that and seemingly enjoying that and being happy in that situation. I would say in terms of guilt that guilt should be doing or not doing something that crosses your moral compass. And I think that, one of our primary responsibilities really is to take care of ourselves and, of course, our dependents, and make sure, that we're in a place that we can respond both to ourselves, but also other people in our lives in the most helpful way. If I've gone through an early experience where I'm traumatized, I'm going to be much more alert and sensitive to trauma happening in the world. So that fight or flight part is going to much more quickly push forward and say, you've got to fight, you've got to campaign for this. But actually, if I have a traumatized brain, I will spend the way that I come at those issues will be through fear and anger. So I won't react actually in a way that's good for the cause or good for me. And everybody has different capacities there. Everybody grew up in different environments, grew up with similar as our brains are, grew up in different environments with some people have a very well-loved brain. And in that case, they're able to spend a lot of time campaigning for things around the world without it being at their detriment. So just going back to the beginning, I'm absolutely caring about other people, campaigning for other people, standing by other people when we see that something is happening that seems to be unfair, are great things, I think, for human beings to do, and a real sign that we care about others and that we, see ourselves as part of this world. I just don't want for you for an intrusive automatic part to be taking control of your imagination and taking control of your thoughts, feelings and body, and dominating it in a way that is not going to get your needs and wants met in the medium to long term in your life. So just be conscious about it, just be curious about it, I'd suggest. I hope that was helpful. Any comments, please do add them below the video, and you take care.